So this will be a quick list video of what I would call the 5 must-watch classic sci-fi movies. So let's run the intro and get into it. Just before we start, not all of these movies conform to being strictly sci-fi. Despite what some people think, not every sci-fi has to be set on a spaceship. Secondly, this is very dependent on personal taste. Maybe you'd put 2001 A Space Odyssey in position 1, whereas I couldn't stay awake through the opening scene. But onto the list. 5th place is an often overlooked movie. Not that it's all that surprising considering it stars a space trucker and a waitress, described by one YouTube commenter as, "It's so bad it's actually brilliant. Debbie Manzar running around half naked? Sign me up." This one probably makes it onto the list due to the great influence it had on me rather than its cinematic genius, but it's definitely worth a watch. However, it does suffer from quite bad animation, so if you're a snob about that kind of thing, this may not be the movie for you. 4th place, Escape from New York, starring one of the greatest actors of all time in one of the most iconic roles. This is a king among classic movies and for good reason. We follow Snake on his mission to extract the president from the largest prison in the future, New York. This is a must watch, and if you love this already, make sure you check out the second movie, Escape from LA. But if you've already seen that, you should see what is essentially a modern take and one of my favourite all-time movies, Lockout. Essentially the same thing set in space. 3rd place is Demolition Man. Those of you who know the movie, which should be all of you, you may feel a rank of 3rd is unjustly low. For what could be better than a modern man in a utopian future, causing mayhem and blowing stuff up? But this movie is more than just a good shoot 'em up. Featuring clever and thought-provoking writing, it truly earns its place on this list. 2nd place, The Fifth Element. This one's a cop movie. Well, not really. In fact, not at all, but it does feel like one. Bruce Willis plays Corbin Dallas, a former Special Forces soldier turned cab driver. When Lilu falls into his life, or more accurately, his cab, he's caught up in a grand epic with the fate of the universe in the mix. With the last 3 starring greats like Kurt Russell, Sylvester Stallone and Bruce Willis, who could possibly take 1st place? The movie stars Jeff Bridges. While the name may be recognised by fewer people, his acting talent is no less. Which, as you may have guessed, makes 1st place the most classic of classic sci-fi, Tron. I'm going to cheat a little and include both the original and the remake in this position. So let's start with the original. This is the sci-fi of your father, a story set within a computer. Flynn is trapped as he tries to prove his video games were stolen by the villain. Released in 1982, this is the first feature film to use computer-generated graphics. Let's just say the CGI shows its age, and as most movies set within a computer, it's something you'll have to accept. But don't let that put you off. Here's a clip.
Hold it right there! What do you mean, yes? Is that all you can say? Oh, anything else?
Well, how about the remake? Released in 2010, whether it's old enough to truly be classic is disputable, but despite the abysmally low rating on Rotten Tomatoes, this is a fantastic movie. If you like the sound of the original Tron, but wish you could see it with better CGI, this is the movie for you. I won't go into the story here, as you'll watch it more for the cool factor rather than its story. Don't believe me? Here's the preview. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the list. What's your favourite classic sci-fi? Would you rearrange the order of my list, or add something else entirely? Tell me in the comments. But until next time.